Hi, my name is Jo. Welcome back to my channel. So today we are covering my April TBR. I have quite a few books that I'll be reading for different book clubs and then a few that I've just picked up along the way. So let's get started by jumping right into my book club books. And the first one that I want to talk about is An Education in Malice. This one's by S.T. Gibson and it sounds like it is a modern retelling of Carmilla. Now, part of the reason why I am so excited for this book is last month my book club read Carmilla. And if you have not heard of Carmilla or you just haven't read it yet, this is a sapphic vampire story and it predates Dracula by like 26 years, I want to say, and it did inspire Dracula. So while I'm excited for the story itself, I'm also excited to talk about differences between that and the original story of Carmilla. In this one, it does take place at a college, so I'm definitely getting some dark academia vibes. And the end of the synopsis makes me really excited too. It says, tangled in a sinister game of politics, bloodthirsty professors, and dark magic, Laura and Carmilla must decide how much they are willing to sacrifice in their ruthless pursuit of knowledge. Absolutely excited for that one. The next book is also a book club read, and this one is Assistant to the Villain. Now, I'm automatically hooked because the very beginning of the synopsis says once upon a time meets the office, so say less. So like the title says, we have a villain and our female main character is just in search of a job. So somehow she ends up as the assistant to the villain. This is her new job and she has to figure out how to work with him while also dealing with the fact that she's gaining a crush on him. And if that's not enough, she also has to deal with the fact that it seems like there's something happening where maybe someone is trying to take down this villain. And I'm curious to see how dedicated she is to her job and her crush versus if her morals align elsewhere. It does feel like this is more of a lighthearted, maybe rom-com-y vibe, which I don't read a ton of when it comes to fantasy, so I'm excited to see how I end up feeling about this one. Alright, so between February and March, I did read the entire Folk of the Air series. So what I did is I treated myself to a couple of Holly Black's newer books. First up, we have The Stolen Heir, and I know that this one is about Oak, so I knew that I was going to enjoy it. Again, it's also Holly Black, so I'll enjoy it because of that. So I also grabbed The Prisoner's Throne. Now, I did walk into the Cruel Prince series not really knowing anything about the plot, and it ended up working out really great for me because I adored the series. So I decided to kind of go into these two books with that same thought process. So I haven't read the synopsis for either of these, and I don't know what they're entirely about, but I know that these are well loved by the bookish community, and because of how I feel about the other books that Holly Black has written, I have a good feeling I'm going to enjoy these. But yeah, these are on my TBR, just don't have a great synopsis to give you because I don't really want to spoil it for myself. And sticking with that theme, I do have The Shadow Glass on my TBR, and this is the third book in the Bone Witch trilogy, which is like a dark YA fantasy series. But right now, as I'm filming this, I'm in the middle of the second book, which is called The Heart Forger. So I have not looked up the synopsis for the third because I don't want to spoil anything that might happen in the second. But so far, I'm really enjoying this series. It focuses on a young teenage girl who accidentally raises her brother from the dead at the beginning of the first book. So the series follows her journey as a bone witch and what that means for her in society and what that means for her training. Not a ton of action and adventure in the first book, but so far I am enjoying the second book more. So hopefully the third book will sort of just keep building up to a really great ending. Next up is another book club pick. This one is for a Swiftie book club that I'm in, and the book that we chose to read is Enchanted to Meet You. So this one is a witchy rom-com, which I'm excited about because I think I've only read one series that was sort of a witchy rom-com, and that was Payback's a Witch by Lana Harper. In this one, it sounds like our female main character messed up somehow. I think maybe she cast like a spell she wasn't supposed to. So now she's a bit of an outcast, and after years pass of being an outcast, she finds out that she is like the chosen one. I think maybe like the town she used to live in is struggling with something that they need her specific help for. And the person who arrives at her doorstep to let her know about this, I believe, is our male main character. So while our female main character is dealing with whatever this big troubling situation is, on top of figuring out where she stands in this community, she also is dealing with maybe a new little crush. I think this one sounds adorable and potentially a good palate cleanser in between some of my other reads. Next up, I have A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle L. Jensen. I adore the physical copy of this book because the beautiful metallic edges are just insane. The cover is beautiful, and I'm very lucky to have this copy personalized by the author. So in this one, our female main character sounds like just sort of a normal woman who dreams of being a warrior, and when she's thrust into a fight, her big secret of having a drop of goddess's blood in her comes out. And what this means is this makes her a shield maiden, so her magic is capable of repelling attacks, which is of course very interesting to the king, or maybe a potential king. So it sounds like she's going to have to learn how to control control and train her magic in this one, while also dealing with a forbidden attraction to another warrior. I have read a couple books by this author in her Bridge Kingdom series, which I enjoyed, but I didn't love it enough to continue all the way through the series. So I'm excited to give this one a try and maybe see if I just connect with it more. Next up, I have another physical book. This is by Amanda Lovelace and it is called Make Your Own Magic. I love Amanda Lovelace. I have a bunch of her poetry books as well as her tarot deck and her oracle deck. And this book is a beginner's guide to self-empowering witchcraft. So this is more of like a nonfiction how-to book. It's separated into different parts. Covers things in these parts like the basics, your intuition, your cycles, more magic. I did have a friend read this and recommend it to me, and she mentioned that she liked how many affordable witchcraft practices are mentioned in this book. So definitely outside of my typical genre, but super excited to read this one. Next up is another book club read, and this one is called Daughter of No Worlds. This is a romantasy book where our female main character was a former slave who now sounds like she's working her way up to be some kind of warrior. It seems like she has a friend who was somehow left behind, and her main motivator for this story is getting this friend back. But in order to work her way up to a position where she's able to do what she needs to do for that situation, she first needs to complete an apprenticeship with our male main character. And the synopsis definitely sounds intense. I don't know if I would go so far as to say this gives me like dark fantasy vibes, but it does feel like the stakes are quite high. At the end of the synopsis, it says that she'll do what she needs to do, even if it means sacrificing her heart, even if it means wielding death itself. I have a feeling that I'm gonna end up enjoying this one, and I'm looking forward to reading more from this series. Although I was not super obsessed with the Crowns of Nyaxia series, I have higher hopes for this one. Next up, we have The Nanny by Lana Ferguson. In this one, it sounds like our female main character used to make money off of OnlyFans, but it seems like now she is interested in maybe finding a new type of job, new type of career. So she ends up getting this job as a live-in nanny, and she ends up realizing that her new boss is someone she remembers from, I believe, OnlyFans, and he doesn't remember her. So as they form a relationship, I think she's going to struggle with trying to figure out if she should tell him about her past or not. And I didn't look, but I am curious because if this is a dual POV type of book, if he does remember her and there's just like the miscommunication, I'm curious to see what that means for them and their relationship. Next up, I have A Tempest of Tea, which is also a book club pick. Now, I did order a physical copy of this from Waterstones, and that is waiting for me in the UK, which is where I'll be next week. I think the sprayed edges are stunning, and it comes with the author signature, so a win-win. So I know this is a duology, I know it involves vampires, and I've heard that it kind of gives the same vibes as maybe Six of Crows. So I love everything about that, and I'm kind of going in not knowing much else. Part of me is going into this hoping that I don't enjoy the book at all, because there are so many beautiful versions that if I do end up loving this book, I fear I will be spending too much money on versions of this one same book. However, I've only heard good things about this book so far, so I'm going in with pretty high expectations, and I'm really excited to read this one and get to talk about it with my book club. And that is it for my April TBR, with a little asterisk that if The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo arrives, I'll hopefully be reading that. I did order a physical copy that is signed, so hopefully it will arrive, but just in case, I'm leaving it off so that if it doesn't, I'm not let down. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.